Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. So today we shall be learning how to make a flounce sleeve, and here are the required materials. So I'll be using this doll face fabric, so you can use any fabric of your choice for this particular sleeve design or flounce design. You'll need your crinoline. Here I have 2 inches crinoline. Here I have gum stay. You can use any interfacing of your choice. I also have this crinoline mesh. You can use either of them, but for this tutorial I'll be using this light gum stay that I have here. Feel free to use any interfacing of your choice. So the next thing we are going to do is to measure around where we'll be fixing the flounce. So you are going to measure like so. This is best measured when your client comes for measurement taking or during fitting. So you're going to measure all the way to the back or where you want your flounce to stop. So after taking this measurement, the next thing we are going to do is to fold our fabric into 2 and get the midpoint. So here I have this doll face folded into 2. You're going to measure to get the midpoint across and along. That is the width and the breadth of the fabric you folded, and that was how I came about those lines you're seeing. So I'm going to measure 2 inches. You can measure 1 inch or 1.5 inch, but here I'm using 2 inches. I'm going to measure it along the lines that I've marked out. The essence of folding your fabric into 2 is so you can cut both lining and fabric together. So after marking out these 2 inches, you are going to connect the markings together. So watch what I'm doing. This is how you're going to join the lines together to form a circle. Do you understand? So when we are done joining the lines, the next thing we are going to do is to get the midpoint between each curve. So just one part, and then you mark like so. So I'm going to start with 3 inches. Remember, the flounce we are making is not equal length. So as I'm marking, I'm going to be increasing the values here from 3 inches to 3.5 to 4 inches, 5 inches, 4.5, 5.5, 6 inches, 7 inches, 8 inches. That's how you're going to mark all the way to get to the highest value that you want. So your longest flounce can be 9 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, depending on what you want actually. But here the longest value I have is 7 inches. And please note, if you don't want to use this method of flounce, you can also use full circle. You can cut full circle and then shape or trim the way you want according to the style we are making. So here I have it marked out and I've connected the lines. So the next thing we are doing is to cut out. Before cutting out, you can measure around the areas you are going to be attaching to your fabric, to your dress, to be sure that you have the same measurements. Even if it's more than, you can leave it like that and pleat the rest excess that you have when joining to your dress. So this is it after cutting out. Like I told us, fold your fabric into 2, lining and fashion fabric, and this is what I have. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to introduce our interfacing. So I'm just going to pick only the lining, and then I'm going to iron the interfacing to the lining only on the lining, please. This is a doll face, but if you are using Ankara fabric, you can actually iron on the fashion fabric, then while the doll face is your lining. So after ironing, this is what I have. So you are going to introduce the main fabric, which is the fashion fabric, and then you bring in your crinoline. So the crinoline is going to be at the edge, so you're going to sew from one end to the other end, but please, it's important you close the rough edges of your crinoline so it doesn't discomfort your clients when wearing it. So what you're going to do is just cut a strip of fabric like so, use it and close the raw edge of the crinoline, which is just sew it, then turn it over and top stitch before you start sewing it to your flounce. So I'm just going to sew it all round, and then I'll come back and show us what to do next. After sewing, this is what I have. So I also top stitched. The next thing we are going to do is to flip it like so, and then you are going to sew. flip the other end also, and you are going to sew so we can close the both ends. So another method you can use to finish this is just to turn everything on the wrong side and sew it all the way around, and then on this bigger part you are going to turn it out. So after turning it out, you just close it and fold over like so and top stitch. But for this tutorial, I am going to flip right sides fitting each other and sew the both ends. So after sewing the both ends, I am going to give it a good press using my steam iron, and then I am also going to sew around to close the curved edge. So I'm just going to do it and come back and show us. So this is it after I have done sewing. Can you see? I'm going to show us something. Please, I used steam iron and it shrank the doll face at the wrong side, as you can see. So it's best to use hairstay on the doll face part while you use your hard interfacing on your fashion fabric to avoid shrinkage. Please do not forget to subscribe, share, like and comment. So on this part that I just sewed, you are going to overlock it, or you close it up using your bias so it will be very neat. So to attach it to your dress, you are going to sew on the wrong side on the seam allowance we left. Just sew all the way to the back. So I'm not going to sew it up in this class or tutorial because I didn't make it for this particular dress. I only made this flounce for the purpose of a tutorial. While sewing round, if you have excesses, go ahead and form tiny pleats and sew it all the way to the back or where you want your flounce to stop. It is better to have excess and pleat than to have shortage. So for those of us who want to cut as a flea, all you have to do is to fold your fabric into 4, get the radius of your flounce, and the radius is from where your flounce will start to where it will stop at the back. You divide that by 6.28. That will be your radius. So you're just going to mark the radius and mark the length of your flounce. So after marking, you go ahead and cut out. So this, after cutting out, you are going to cut open one part of the flea, which is the center front of the flea. So when you are done cutting it open, you are going to reduce one side of it. So that part that you'll be reducing will be at the front, while the other longer part will be at the back. So here I came in by 2 inches. You can come in by 3 inches depending on what you're trying to achieve, and then you cut out. So this part that is shorter will be at the front, while the longer part will be at the back. So thank you for stopping by on my channel. See you in my next one.